Hey, welcome. Today we're going to pull back the curtain on something we all use every single day but maybe don't think about much. We're talking about the invisible gatekeeper that runs our digital lives, the thing that decides who you are and what you get to see online. So let's figure out how we all get the keys to our own digital kingdoms.
I mean, think about it for a second. Every single time you log into your email, your bank, whatever, there's this really complex digital handshake happening in the background. So how in the world does some server, maybe halfway across the planet, really know it's you and decide which doors it's going to open?
Well, it all comes down to a process that's run by a sort of digital gatekeeper. And this gatekeeper, it operates on a really simple but incredibly powerful principle known as the AA framework. Honestly, this is the bedrock of pretty much all digital security.
Okay, so the first A is authentication. This is basically the "are you who you say you are" step. When you type in your password, you're pretty much just showing your digital ID to the system. It's your way of proving your identity.
Right, next up is authorization. And this is key. Just because you're authenticated, meaning the system knows who you are, that doesn't mean you can do, well, whatever you want. Authorization is what checks your permissions. So, your ID got you in the building, but authorization is what decides if you get into the VIP lounge.
And the final A is for accounting. You can think of this as the system's logbook. It just keeps a record of what you did, what you accessed, how long you were there, what files you downloaded. It's absolutely crucial for things like security audits, billing, or just understanding how people are using a service.
So during that first authentication step, how do we actually prove it's us? Well, security experts have broken it down into 3 basic categories, or what they call factors.
First, there's something you know. That's your classic password or PIN. Second is something you have, a physical thing, like your phone that gets a code or a smart card. And third, something you are. A part of you, like your fingerprint or your face. Real security, like two-factor authentication, always combines at least 2 of these.
So let's zoom in on the most common factor, right? Something you know. Passwords. They're our first line of defense, but oh man, they are also our most vulnerable. And the reason why? It's probably not what you think. See, the real danger isn't some hacker sitting there trying to guess your password on a website over and over until they get locked out. No. The biggest threat is way more sinister. It's called the offline dictionary attack. This is when an attacker gets their hands on a stolen database of user passwords. They take it offline to their own powerful computers, where they can try millions of combinations a second, and there's nobody there to stop them. Get this, just 28 hours. That's how long it might take a hacker to crack a password by checking it against a list of 1 million common ones. And honestly, that's being generous. With the right hardware, it can be way faster. And this is exactly why a simple password all by itself just doesn't cut it anymore.
So how do websites protect your password, even if their whole database gets stolen? They use a couple of really clever cryptographic tricks, hashing and salting. See, instead of storing your actual password, they store a unique and, more importantly, irreversible digital fingerprint of it.
Okay, look at this. Hashing turns your password, in this example just the word password, into that string of random-looking stuff you see on the right. But there's a problem, right? If 2 people use the exact same password, they'd have the exact same hash. That's where salting comes in. A unique random string, the salt, which here is just 13579, gets added to your password before it's hashed. Now, even if 2 people use password, their stored values look completely different. It makes those big dictionary attacks way less effective. Okay, so we've got our own login secured. But what happens when we want to let one app talk to another app for us? I mean, we've all seen that login with Google button, right? How does that actually work without you just giving away your password? This is where a really clever protocol called OAuth 2.0 comes into play. So here's the situation. You want some cool new photo editing app to get access to your pictures in Google Photos. But, and this is the important part, you should never give that app your Google username and password. That would be like handing over the keys to your entire digital kingdom. OAuth solves this with something called delegation. It's pretty slick. First, the app sends you over to the main service, like Google. Then, you tell Google directly, yep, I trust this app and I'll let it see my photos. Google never, ever shares your password. Instead, it gives the app a special limited-use key called an access token. The app then uses that token to get access to only the specific data you approved, and usually only for a short time.
Here's the best way to think about it. An OAuth token is just like a hotel keycard. It proves you're allowed to get into room 305, but it says absolutely nothing about your identity, who you are. It's just a temporary key for one specific door, not your permanent ID.
And that highlights a really important difference. OAuth 2.0 is all about authorization. It proves what an app is allowed to do. Its sibling protocol, which is called OpenID Connect, that handles authentication. It proves who a user is. And you really need both, right? One to prove you're Jane Doe, and the other to give an app permission to see Jane Doe's photos.
So, where is all this headed? I mean, our digital world is getting more and more complex every day. Cloud services, Internet of Things, you name it. And the simple login is having to evolve into something much, much smarter.
The future of this stuff is kind of breaking down into three big areas. You've got identity management, which is all about having one secure way to manage who you are across tons of different services. Then there's access control management, which is about creating smarter, more detailed rules for what you can do. And finally, data protection, which is a huge shift. It's about making the data itself secure, not just the server it's sitting on.
And this leads to some really powerful new ideas, like attribute-based access control, or ABAC. I know, it's a mouthful. But with ABAC, your access isn't just based on your role, like employee. It's based on a whole bunch of attributes. Like, are you in the office? Is it during work hours? Are you on a company laptop? It's a way more dynamic and context-aware way to give permission.
Which brings us to a final, really powerful question to think about. What if your identity wasn't just a key for a door anymore? What if instead it was a set of intelligent rules that actually traveled with your data? Just imagine a world where your personal information is smart enough to protect itself no matter where it ends up. That is the really exciting future of our digital identity.